turn into a chilly night, so temperatures perhaps falling down quite close to freezing in parts of rural Scotland in the Glens, but even in the countryside in southern parts of England and Wales, we might even see a touch of grass frost with lows of 3 or 4 degrees in the countryside. It does mean, though, that on Sunday morning it will be a bright start to the day for many of us, particularly across southern, central and eastern parts of England. Blue skies here. A chilly start, but lots of sunshine around. High-level cloud already out towards the west, and that's ahead of the frontal system that's pushing in through the afternoon. 1 or 2 showers around the coasts of northern Scotland, but plenty of sunshine, particularly in the north and the east. And temperatures will fairly quickly rise in that fairly strong September sunshine. Out towards the west, though, quickly turning cloudier. Some heavy outbreaks of rain pushing into Wales, Northern Ireland and southwest England through the morning. So some pretty lively bursts of rain across the higher ground in particular. And as we go into the afternoon, that rain will spread its way gradually further north and east. It'll also turn windy, with gales potentially developing across Irish Sea coastal regions. And despite temperatures being fairly close to average for the time of year, it is going to feel fairly cool. That rain continues to push its way north and east across the UK as we go through Sunday evening, and the winds strengthen further, so a yellow warning for wind coming into place for Sunday night and lasting through much of the day on Monday. So a very unsettled start to the week with some heavy showers around and some strong winds.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
It's our biggest Great British giveaway to date. You could be driving away with this brand new Benamar Primera motorhome. This 4-berth home from home comes complete with integrated kitchen and bathroom areas and has all of the tech you'd expect from the latest 2025 model. We'll also give you an incredible £30,000 in tax-free cash to make sure that any adventures you take in your new motorhome are taken in style. For a chance to win, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus 1 standard network rate message, or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus 1 standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB16 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 31st of October. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand.
5 hosts, 5 opinions, 5 fearless debates,
5 unfiltered takes on the day's news.
5 reasons not to be anywhere else on Saturday night.
This is the Saturday 5.
You got me. You got me good there. Britain's biggest Saturday night TV show.
It's not a bad brand.
Yeah.
Uncensored.
Very, very racy tonight on the unpredictable.
What did she say? Can you translate it for us?
And always entertaining.
And how can a country go from being led by William Wallace to
Saturday nights from 6 p.m. only on GB News.
the People's Channel?
Britain's news channel.
You're going to want to stay tuned, trust me.
Mornings don't have to be tiresome, especially if you have the right company.
Wake up to news as it happens, opinion and debate, and of course, a little bit of entertainment too.
Because when the kettle's on, we're on.
That's Breakfast on GB News, a show worth waking up for.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We'll spread the news, you spread the word.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m. weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Britain was once the envy of the world. But look around. A nation that no longer knows what it is or where it's going. A country that's broken. How do we fix Britain? How do we bring it back? Friday night with Matt Goodwin at 8 p.m. only on GB News.
Good evening, everybody. It's Saturday night, and this is the Saturday 5, the UK's biggest Saturday night TV show. I am, as you know, Dr. Renee, along with Will Kingston, Alex Armstrong, Trey Lowe, and Kai Wilshaw. Tonight on the show,
your party are insane, but that's bad news for Labour.
Charlie Kirk's murder is an attack on the white Christians.
Keir Starmer's lying to the whole country over what he knew about Mandelson.
Lawless Britain is a myth.
And you boomers are bankrupting Britain.
It's 6 p.m. and this is the Saturday 5. This is the Saturday 5, and in keeping with our new show format that you've seen over the last couple of weeks, guys, I am in the driving seat tonight alongside Will Kingston, our resident migrant, Alex Armstrong, who is so in demand on this channel that we are clinging on to him with our very fingertips. We have the ex-apprentice contestant, Trey Lowe, and of course our DEI hire, Kai Wilshaw. I want to start the show by saying that at this point, I have got full confidence in my panel. But 3 hours is a very long time in this political whirlwind, so who knows where we might end up at the end of it. And in keeping with that theme, we're going to touch on many of these topics tonight, these political topics that have been flowing through the week, and we want your views on them. So please send your views and post your comments by visiting gbnews.com/yoursay. And don't forget to get your questions in for Ask the Five. There are no topics off limits. If it is a question for Ask the Five, just put that before your message. And please vote in the poll at gbnews.com/poll, as today we're going to be asking, does Charlie Kirk's killer deserve the death penalty? Should we force children to wear school uniform to respect others? Or should King Charles make up with poor old Prince Harry? But before we start tearing each other apart, it's Saturday night, it's the news with Bethany Elsey.
Good evening, I'm Bethany Elsey with your top stories from the GB newsroom. The Metropolitan Police have arrested 9 people at the Unite the Kingdom rally in central London after its officers were subjected to what the force has described as unacceptable violence. A number of officers have been assaulted amid crowds of more than 100,000 protesters. Activists breached a barricade which was separating opposing groups, so the force deployed extra officers with protective equipment and police horses to deal with the disorder. Organisers say the rally was set up to promote free speech and traditional British values. A counter-protest dubbed March Against Fascism, organised by Stand Up to Racism, is also taking place. Sir Keir Starmer has defended Lord Mandelson in the Commons a day after Downing Street officials were made aware of damning emails between him and the convicted paedophile Jeffrey Epstein. It's understood Number 10 received details of the correspondence on Tuesday, 2 days before Mr Mandelson was sacked as British ambassador to the US. But it's understood the Prime Minister wasn't aware of the contents of the messages until Wednesday evening. The PM is facing growing criticism among backbench MPs and the Conservatives over his handling of the scandal, which leaves Britain without a permanent US ambassador just days before President Donald Trump arrives for his state visit. Meanwhile, Andy Burnham is rumoured to be laying the groundwork for a leadership attempt as uncertainty grows about Sir Keir Starmer's future. The Mayor of Greater Manchester started a campaign group this week calling on the PM to introduce wealth taxes and bring an end to the 2-child benefit cap. He's expected to criticise Starmer at Labour's conference this month. The widow of Charlie Kirk says the movement he built in the US will not die with him. The co-founder of the right-wing youth organisation Turning Point USA was shot dead in Utah on Wednesday. The activist was a bridge to young Republican voters and was credited with helping Donald Trump win re-election last year. His suspected killer, Tyler Robinson, remains in custody after surrendering to police. He's expected to be charged on Tuesday. And Donald Trump says he'll impose sanctions on Russia over its war in Ukraine if NATO allies follow suit. The US president has made the claim on social media, saying he'll act if and when NATO countries agree to do the same and when they stop buying Russian oil. His comments come after Prince Harry and the Foreign Secretary, Yvette Cooper, visited Ukraine on Friday. Harry was visibly emotional after visiting a makeshift memorial in Kyiv dedicated to fallen soldiers. You're up to date. I'll have more for you in an hour's time.
For all the latest from GB News whilst you're on the go, get the GB News app. Scan the QR code now to download or visit gbnews.com/app.
It's Saturday night and you're with the Saturday 5, and over the next 3 hours, the biggest debates, the hottest topics and entertaining interviews. We'll be taking you through what happened at the Unite rally today in central London. Plus, we'll be speaking to a talent manager who's going to tell us how important it is for politicians to have the looks and charisma to get into number 10. So let's crack on with tonight's first debate. And because I'm in the hot chair that I've stolen off of Alex again, I am going to go first. It's a serious topic, guys. Charlie Kirk was murdered in cold blood this week as he sat on a stage defending the very thing his killers hate, free speech. They couldn't beat him in a debate. They couldn't match his energy, his reach, or the fire he lit in the hearts of young Americans. They couldn't destroy his ideas, so they destroyed him, literally. They didn't just cancel Charlie, they killed him, silenced him in the most permanent, brutal way. Why? Because Charlie was a Christian, because he believed in family, in tradition, in raising strong kids in a free society rooted in faith and values. Because he was white and proud of his culture, not ashamed of it. That, today, is a crime. Let's stop pretending. This isn't just anti-conservative, it's anti-Christian. Worse, it's selectively so. When Kate Forbes ran for leadership of the SNP, her Christian faith got her tossed aside. But Hamza Yousaf, a Muslim who will share many of her values, rose to the top, quietly, unchallenged. Tim Farron, Rob Flailo, David Campanale, all of them pushed out of public life for their Christian beliefs. All of them white, all of them silenced. Meanwhile, black pastors in America preach exactly the same message every day. Muslim leaders hold office without backlash, and their values often identical, but they are not targeted like this. There's a pattern developing here, and one we must confront. If you're white and you're Christian, you're not just unwelcome in public life, you are a threat. You must be silenced. Charlie Kirk is gone, but what he stood for, faith, truth, courage, must not be. Kai, let's see what you think about that.
Yeah, I mean, look, this is obviously horrifying news, what we saw this week, and I don't think many commentators on the far left, but also on the far right, and I don't include Charlie Kirk necessarily in that, I don't think they've covered themselves in glory in their response. They've sort of missed the point, and I think maybe this is also missing the point. I agree that he was targeted for what he said. Some of the things that he said in the name of free speech, which, I think actually many people who are complaining about it haven't read what he said. He was very controversial and sort of tried to do that, but that's fine. That's great. And he ignited a movement following that. But I think you're misdiagnosing this by saying this is all about race or all about his Christian beliefs. Those were part of his, say, controversial beliefs. It shouldn't be controversial, really, in the modern world. We should be open-minded to people of faith, regardless of what that faith is. But I think it misses the point to make this about white or black, Muslim versus Christian, really.
Well, was I, Alex? I mean, wasn't everything that he believed in embedded in his faith?
Yeah, well, you took the words out of my mouth. His values are his Christian values. And that is something in this country we're struggling with now. We're struggling with our unique Christian identity that's being whitewashed over time, leaving people wondering, what is British values? What are they? And unfortunately, he stood for bringing back a lot of those values back into politics, something that, as you correctly pointed out, people of different races are able to say without the severe criticism landed on them. And people of different backgrounds and different religions also say things far more socially conservative than that and don't receive the same level of backlash. It was because of his so-called controversial views, which are just moderate Christian values, might we add, that he was targeted. And you only got to look at what happened, and I don't want to make a connection between this, but there clearly seems to be one, and you only got to look at what happened to those young kids that were shot dead not that long ago. We were reporting it here on GB News in America, a school shooting in a church targeted Christians deliberately. The far left do not like Christian values because guess what? They believe in man and woman.
Yeah, absolutely. Trey, I can
Yeah, no, I disagree. I don't think he was killed because he was white, he was Christian. First of all, we've got to point out that we actually don't know. The killer's only just been apprehended. We actually genuinely don't know. But we do know that the guy that killed him is pretty much a carbon copy of him in some sense. He's the son of a Republican, lightly Christian, and he is white. So I don't know if the race and Christian thing was angle. I think it was probably more just an intolerance of the perception of what they felt Charlie stood for, which is wrong. And I think most right-thinking people would agree that was wrong. That level of political violence has no place in this modern world. But I think to kind of conflate it with the fact that he was white and Christian is a stretch.
But I gave plenty of examples.
Absolute stretch.
I gave plenty of examples, Trey.
Dr. Martin Luther King was also killed. I mean, he was a black Christian guy. I just think you've always had political violence, I think, in America.
With due respect, bringing in Martin Luther King to this argument is a silly one.
No, but it is, because we've seen pictures where we've got Dr. King and you've got Kennedy and you've got Charlie on so many posters. It's actually very, very relevant to what I'm saying here. I don't think, yeah, but also because of what he stood for. That was dangerous. I think Charlie Kirk was killed because of what he stood for. And if you're on the extreme left, you have a view that he's divisive, probably he's racist, and all these other things.
Just to counter what you're saying, Trey, I would say this: there are black commentators who, I mean, Candace Owens, she's quite conservative. She's a very strong Christian conservative. I don't believe there's been any threats made to her and other black commentators who have shared very similar values. And of course, maybe it was just that his profile was bigger, of course, as well. But we do know that at least there's a lot of reports about what this man's intentions were. I mean, it does seem to me, and again, you're right, we don't know the full motive.
We really don't know, yeah.
But it does seem to me, if we're trying to at least have an idea about what the motives were, you can only look at previous cases to find there is a targeting of Christians in that. Maybe being white wasn't necessarily important, but his Christianity and his faith do seem to play a part in the far less time.
I would say it's more of his politics rather than his Christianity.
But I think they're intrinsically linked.
They are intrinsically linked.
They are.
Keen to hear what Will says on this.
Well, we don't know the motive, but there is something that we do know, and that political violence is becoming a bigger problem in the US. Now, I expected the left side of this table to both sides this. Well, there's violence on the left, there's violence on the right. That's true to an extent. But the difference is that the violence on the left is becoming inherent to the ideology. When you say that words are violence and you repeat that mantra over and over again, you make it excusable to respond to those words with violence. This is now a central plank of leftist ideology, and you can see the outcome of this when you hear all of the people who are responding on X, all of the people who are in the media, many of them, and I'm not talking just the fringes, there's this undercurrent that says, well, you know what, he kind of had it coming.
And I actually think that is disgusting.
And that's a core difference
to
the violence that we see on the right.
We also have seen on the left, backing up what Will says, celebration of this young father's and husband's death. Celebration, absolute joy at a man dying. That has to be questionable as an ideology.
And the scale of it. It's not just a few fringe loonies. The amount of people...
I agree, and that's why I'm not left and I'm not right. I think I'm someone that tries to look at both sides. I think it's disgusting what's happened. The fact that his family were there and they were young. I mean, I've got a young child myself. I don't care who it is. I think that kind of violence is abhorrent. And I think the people celebrating it, they don't realise what's coming. I actually want to see an end to all of this division and wars and this left-right paradigm of white against black. It's disgusting.
It's interesting you say that, because we've got lots of comments coming in on this, and Beryl says, I agree, Dr. Renee, it is now seen as a sin to be white and Christian. Won't work, though. We will all spread the word on behalf of Charlie, and when will they realise, no matter what colour you are, we are all the same? And that's true. I think that's really true. And I said to you in the green room, I wish we could just see people for their character.
True. And we're missing a very important thing. I think probably the greatest numbers of deaths, Christian deaths, are probably Nigerian Christians, I'd probably say.
Yep.
So it's definitely way more black Christians being killed in this world than there are in anywhere else. So we have to look, even when people say that...
They've been killed for their faith.
They've been that's actually for their faith. There's no question about it, whereas in this case, there is a question. I think that's more of the same thing. This left-right dynamic, we will overcome and they're killing us. It's not true. And we need to stop fanning the flames of these wars against right or left and just look at what do people really want. And I think most people want people to be shot in the neck in front of these kids.
But do you not think
you just don't want that?
Charlie's Christian values, the reason the left can't have those values is because they believe in the family, in men and women and children and culture being embedded in that. That's why they can't have it.
Again, I think it's deeper than that. I'll give you an example, and it's not necessarily me being triggered, because I do not get triggered. But when he says things like, if I walk into a plane and the pilot is black, I think, oh, is it going to be safe? Is that DEI higher? It's that type of stuff that probably triggers people.
Interesting stuff.
That's the kind of stuff that triggers people on the left. Wrongly, I believe, I'm not mean to look at you when I say that, but I think quite wrongly, I think that's one of the problems. People are seeing each other as enemies, when fundamentally we actually all want the same thing. But when people are fanning the flames, that's what's aggravating.
But we see that fanning of the flames here, right? And I really didn't want us to be getting into sort of nitpicking or cherry-picking of cases, right? Because political violence is endemic across the political sphere. I reject this idea that it is a left-wing phenomenon. It is just not. That is nonsense.
True.
OK. Anyway, we could debate this all night, I'm sure, but we have some other interesting stuff to debate. Alex, what have you got coming up for us?
Oh, I've got a tasty one for you all at home. Do you think Keir Starmer has lied to the entire country about what he knew about Peter Mandelson's emails to Jeffrey Epstein? We'll be digging into that.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So you're with the Saturday 5 guys, live on GB News.
At GB News, we are proud to stand for you, for the Britain you love, for the communities you live in. That's what makes us the fearless champions of Britain. Its voices and its values. Because we, at GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Britain was once the envy of the world. But look around. A nation that no longer knows what it is or where it's going. A country that's broken. How do we fix Britain? How do we bring it back? Friday night with Matt Goodwin at 8 p.m. only on GB News.
It's Patrick Christie's Tonight, and here we do things differently. It's explaining the absolute madness of this, doesn't it? It's explosive. I mean, this is very good. It's lively.
850. Your government sat there short and it did nothing.
It's controversial. And the Middle East has been in turmoil since before I was born. It's everything you need to kickstart your evening. Everyone's had their Weetabix tonight. I love to see it. That's Patrick Christie's Tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
no,
isn't it?
No,
Because the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back,
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
and we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes & Co weeknights at 6 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Mornings don't have to be tiresome, especially if you have the right company.
Wake up to news as it happens, opinion and debate, and of course, a little bit of entertainment too.
Because when the kettle's on, we're on.
That's Breakfast on GB News, a show worth waking up for.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We'll spread the news, you spread the word.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Saturday 5. Now, before we start, please do get in contact at gbnews.com/yoursay. I'm going to say what Will said last week, that we, by more than any other show, read out your comments.
Hang on. It's not what he said last week. It's what I've been saying every week.
I thought that was a really clever line that I came up with.
It's Alex.
Unique. Utterly shameless.
Alex has been wanging on about that for months, hasn't he?
Before Alex is digging around for the data, get your questions in, please, for Ask the Five. And if you do it for Ask the Five, just pop that in the note beforehand. But thank you for your messages so far. I've got a couple here before we kick off the next debate. We have Grumpy Grandad. Hello, Grumpy Grandad. Thank you for tuning in. I knew nothing about Charlie Kirk. I didn't know what his views were, but I still feel killing somebody for their political views is out of order, no matter what their views are. And that's absolutely true. Words are not violence. Words are debate, and that's really important. And then actually another one is aiming at you, Trey.
Ooh.
So MC says that you're nearly as bad as Kai.
Only nearly, it's not that
It's not
bad. Not too bad.
The killer was radicalised in university. He was not a Republican.
Yeah.
Anyway, who's next? Who's next?
No, it's me. It's me. Oh, I'm going to take it from here. Look at that. Look at me back. Oh, look. I love that's a nice frame, isn't it? There we go. Hello, everybody. Well, has Keir Starmer been lying to the whole country? That's the claim by Kemi Badenoch, the Conservative Party leader, which, if proven true, usually results in a minister's resignation or sacking. Now, this is being discussed because Keir Starmer went out and supported the now sacked US, and disgraced, might I add, US Ambassador Peter Mandelson over his disgusting emails in relationship with Jeffrey Epstein. Those leaked emails show the extent of the relationship between the two men, where Mandelson told Epstein he loved him and essentially said he shouldn't be facing the legal action over his child sexual assault allegations, and he wouldn't face them if he were in Britain. Well, now Number 10 claimed that they only sacked Mandelson after new information became available. But the big but here is multiple reports suggest that Number 10 had the Mandelson-Epstein emails the day before the Prime Minister went out in support of him in PMQ. So I'm asking, has Keir Starmer lied to the whole country? Kai, this is a man you've gone out to bat for time and time again on this show. You probably did backflips after he won in his landslide election. Wow. Now it looks like he's toast. Is he the next person I need to make into a piece of bread?
I'd leave it a bit longer before we expect
But it's not a no.
to go. But I mean, it's made it quite difficult to depose a Labour leader, in fact, which is the main reason many MPs are sort of wailing in the corner after the performance we've seen this last week. It is a complete farce. The Number 10 strategy and communications teams have been rubbish from the start, really. Yep. But it all comes back to Keir Starmer and his quite poor political judgment. What I find is that he always gets to the right decision, but late and never quite far enough.
Yeah,
and that's what we've seen here as well.
And the right decision would be not to hire Peter Mandelson.
Thank you.
Right?
Yes,
so you got to the right decision by sacking him and not having him in position. The problem I've got, what I think I have with this guy is that he seems to be relying on his chief of staff. He did it with Sue Gray, and that was a disaster. She got sacked. Now he's doing it with, what's his name? Remind me.
Morgan McSween.
Morgan McSween, thank you. Now he's leaning on him for his political, savviness. Yeah. Keir Starmer's not a leader, he's a lawyer.
But we had the same with Boris Johnson and Dominic Cummings. You know, this is the classic foible of many prime ministers and presidents all across the world, where they come to rely on somebody with an ideologue, somebody who says they can do it all and who don't actually understand politics and how things are done in government. And I think that's the problem that he has here, is that spinners do not make policymakers, and they can't also give you an ideology that your movement doesn't have.
The difference with some of those leaders that you mentioned is that Keir Starmer's political instincts are uniquely bad. I don't think in my life I've seen a political leader in a Western democracy with political instincts this woeful. Now, whether or not he lied in this instance, I think there's pretty good evidence to suggest that he did. The fact of the matter is that he knew that Mandelson was plagued by scandal even before this particular incident. He knew that there was the Epstein connection there, and he did it anyway. For me, that just indicates the most astonishing lack of political savvy.
I don't know. I also think there was a degree of bringing Mandelson into this role almost brought Tony Blair back into the Labour Party, and they had a successful government, therefore it would just help this government be successful. There are two issues about this, Alex. Either he lied or he really didn't know. And if he really didn't know, he's not fit to be our Prime Minister.
It's a very complex situation that the Labour Party's in, because if they get rid of Keir Starmer, There's no one else, is there?
Angela Rayner's gone. I was about to say, they got rid of probably the second candidate.
Yeah, she's gone now. So what have they got? David Lammy?
Well, Andy Burnham, of course, has sort of launched this new faction. But there's reports today that a Greater Manchester MP who's in ill health is going to step down, and all sorts of machinations. I mean, I think it's quite ironic that Burnham launches a faction and says that the problem with Keir Starmer's project is that it's been factional.
Don't ruin my bunch of five, all right? The head of the show.
Sorry.
It's a really interesting point, actually, because I don't think there's any such thing as a safe Labour seat right now.
Yeah.
And I think...
There is, I think, safe seat at all for any party in the country, frankly.
And I think what will happen is if Starmer is seen to be doing that, he will galvanise the right.
But the fascinating thing for him is that it's really hard to work out a policy direction from that, because in some marginal seats he's going to get attacked from the Gaza Independents, from some it's going to be the new Corbyn party on the left, and then in the Red Wall area you've got the right-wing Reform Party. So how do you try and navigate that? It's incredibly difficult.
I think one of the issues as well that he's got, I mean, even when you read it out, it's just it's horrific even hearing the detail. I personally don't think he knew, because he can't be that stupid, really.
Well,
do you think so?
Exactly,
but I think the issue is quite telling is how he's dealt with it. Like, I'm quite disgusted even hearing you say that. He could easily have said that, completely disavowed himself of that, and think, right, we knew nothing about that. I took robust action. This is what we're going to do. But I think he keeps missing again and again an opportunity to be the statesman, to be someone who's decisive, someone who's got his finger on the power pulse.
What's so
too late
interesting?
when you gave Mandelson the job, though, wasn't it?
I mean, slippery,
But what was interesting about the way this whole thing unfolded was, of course, Prime Minister's questions on Wednesday. And if you look at some of the way he responded to Kemi Badenoch, who did actually finally do a good job in PMQs for a change. I mean, credit where it's due. A broken clock's right twice a day. And she did a good job of going in on that, which she failed to do with Angela Rayner. But with Mandelson, he seemed to sort of be very careful about the way he answered the question, which says to me he knew more was coming. Now, of course, we know Number 10 had this information perhaps as early as Tuesday, Monday, which was before PMQs, and then he went out to bat for Mandelson, saying he has full confidence in him. And of course, a day later, we all see the leaked email. So it does raise serious questions about the Prime Minister's, whether he lied. That could be taken. You could probably. I would probably suggest he didn't lie, because otherwise he would have known that he'd be caught for lying. But I think misleading and deceit is just as bad. The British public hate that too.
Yeah, I think they had the trove of emails the day before, but it was a trove of emails that Bloomberg then had gone through. But I believe that Number 10 probably didn't really realise the scale of it, and didn't, I imagine that Peter Mandelson wasn't helping them in that. He had said that there'd be embarrassing things, and so I suppose with ministers, it's either a full-throated defence or sacking them, and at that point he didn't know enough to sack him. I believe that, but again, poor judgment.
I don't think he wanted to sack him at this time, because you have a state visit coming up from President Trump, and what's the first question that's going to be asked at those joint press conferences? It's going to be about Epstein and Mandelson, and that's the one thing that Trump really doesn't want to talk about.
Exactly right.
Exactly right. And now the press are going to be asking Trump, well, Keir Starmer, you sacked Epstein. Trump, what do you make of him stepping up? That's what the press are going to go after. You can guarantee they will.
It is, and I do say to you, Kai, if they didn't have a group of people combing through every single one of that pages of that document tonight, then they are not fit for government. But on that note, I'm going to ask Will what he's going to tell us about.
Those Fruit Loops in your party have been rallying this week. I'll be telling you why we should not be dismissing them lightly.
So you're with the Saturday 5 and Fruit Loops, live on GB News.
Ready to soak up that holiday sunshine?
Won't we need some cover?
No worries. All sorted.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Whilst the weather across the UK is going to be very unsettled tomorrow, it's a different story across many southern parts of Europe. Lots of fine and at times sunny weather around, a few showery bursts fringing into both the northwest of Spain and also some far eastern parts, a few showery outbreaks for Italy and some heavy showery rain towards parts of Greece and into Croatia. But otherwise it's generally going to be dry for most, and with some decent sunshine, feeling very warm indeed. Bye-bye.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Hello again and welcome to your latest GB News weather forecast from the Met Office. There'll be a few showers around on Saturday night, but for most, Sunday is set to start dry with some sunshine in the east. It won't last though. Wet and windy weather is going to arrive from the west, and that's courtesy of this area of low pressure. And these weather fronts will bring some rain to many places by the end of the day. The isobars tightening to bring some stronger winds as well. Back to Saturday evening though, and the focus of the showers will be across more northern parts of England and perhaps North Wales for a time. Otherwise though, many places turning dry overnight tonight with clearing skies, and it's set to be quite chilly, so temperatures in the countryside perhaps falling down to low single figures and even cold enough for a touch of frost in some prone spots. It does mean, though, underneath those clearing skies, that Sunday is expected to dawn on a mostly sunny note. Any mist and fog patches across inland parts of Scotland quickly clearing away, and then blue skies for many, at least for a few hours. Just one or two showers around the coast, perhaps, but many places starting dry. Already turning cloudy, though, for Northern Ireland, Wales and the southwest, and there's rain not too far away from Cornwall, and this is going to be the signs of things to change. So this rain will spread its way eastwards through the course of the day on Sunday, turning wet by the end of the morning for Northern Ireland, Wales and the southwest. Some heavy bursts of rain arriving too, particularly over the higher ground, and even any early morning brightness in the east will be short-lived, with it turning cloudier here too, and some outbreaks of rain arriving by the end of the day. With the winds strengthening as well, with Irish Sea coastal gales by the afternoon, it's going to feel fairly cool and unpleasant where it's raining. The winds stay strong as we go into Monday. A yellow warning for wind is in place across many parts of England and Wales. So the showers here moving through very quickly, but still some heavy downpours with rumbles of thunder in places, and some more frequent showers across more northern parts of the UK. It stays changeable through the week ahead, a mixture of sunny spells and showers, and it will also be quite windy at times.
Britain was once the envy of the world. But look around. A nation that no longer knows what it is or where it's going. A country that's broken. How do we fix Britain? How do we bring it back? Friday night with Matt Goodwin at 8 p.m. only on GB News.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akweer, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, though. I'm so surprised. I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
You're with the Saturday 5 live on GB News. Now, I just wanted, before we moved on, to let you know about an interview that we've got back later. So welcome back to the Saturday 5. We've got an interview at 7:15 with Alan Miller from the Together organisation, who is at the rally today, and he's going to tell us what it's like being on the ground, how many people he thinks are there, because we've got loads of comments in here. Scarlett Evans, for example, is saying, get it right, GB News, there's 500,000 people in the march in London. Of course, we're going with the police figures, which at the moment are standing at 110,000, but lots of people are telling us that there are lots of people there, more than 110,000. So we'll speak to Alan at 7:15 and see what he has to say about it. But we are very interested in this today. But in the meantime, please get in contact at gbnews.com/yoursay. Get your questions in for Ask the Five, and don't forget to vote in the poll at gbnews.com/poll to vote for what you want us to debate in the Saturday Scrap. Now, it's time for our next debate.
Yes, thank you, Renee. As an aside, I don't believe those police figures for a second. But on to Jeremy Corbyn and Zara Sultana's still bafflingly titled Your Party. They've been rallying this week. They held a rally in Brixton last night. They've also upped their social media game. They've released several clips. I think we have one ready to show you here.
Student debt, rising bills, crippling public services, genocide in Gaza. And right now, fascism growling at the door. And we say, no, we are going to fight back. For the first time in a long time, we are saying, we're not here to beg for crumbs off the table. We're taking the lot.
Well, make no mistake, these people are insane. They are absolutely bonkers, but they shouldn't be dismissed because the reality is, ladies and gentlemen, at least 10% of the United Kingdom is insane. At least 10% are bonkers. And that's more than enough to get a substantial chunk of the vote. And if they were to get 10% of the vote, what would that mean? Well, it would mean, A, it would be ruinous for Labor, absolutely ruinous. But in order to try and mitigate against that, the Labor Party will almost inevitably try and move to the left in some instances and on some policy areas to try and win back those voters from Corbyn and potentially from the Greens as well. This is where left-wing politics is heading around the world. You've seen with Mamdani in New York, you've seen with the guy in Minnesota, that they are moving towards this toxic cocktail of identity politics and socialism, and they are feeding off the grievance that so many people feel. It must be resisted. It must be resisted at nearly all costs. I think it's actually, I should actually say, in a week where we have seen political violence, we do need to stop ourselves when we say things like should be resisted at all costs. Or democratically available methods.
I think you mean.
I'm glad you said that.
Yeah, and I totally appreciate because we need to. Look, at the end of the day, Charlie Kirk was killed because violence was used, and his whole philosophy was, of course, debate intellectually, respectfully, and fairly. Which I totally agree with. But this whole Zara Sultana Corbyn party, which doesn't seem to know what it is, they can't seem to decide who the leader is. Some 1 minute Zara Sultana's texting Corbyn and Corbyn's texting. They don't even know each other. I don't think they've been seen together yet, have they? And we've seen them in the same room. This whole experiment, and I watched that video. First of all, what a disgusting mouth she has for an elected politician to talk like that. Vile. It's vile. No, you don't see any other political party speaking like that.
But it is a left-wing thing. They do it to sound edgy and to sound.
It's vile. It's not beholden of a future prime minister of the country. Let's be honest about that. But saying things like we want to take the whole effing lot, and we're not going to have crumbs. Well, I'm sorry, I don't want some party telling me they want to take everything off of me. I think we've had enough of that from the WHO, and that's exactly what these far left socialists.
And I abhor the kind of language that she uses and the kind of movement she represents. You know, calling MPs dishonourable members, saying that we're going to say F off to reform. I don't agree with the Reform Party, as you know, but I think we need to debate and discuss and be open-minded. But yeah, you're right. Like, this is there are lots of threats to the Labour Party right now, and the polling does show that if they get around 10%, this ragtag bunch of sort of Fruit Loops and loonies, it will mean that reform sort of edged through on any understanding of the polling. You know, even if they drop off, and not to even think about how much further the Tories have to fall. You know, this is going to benefit reform massively, but yes, it will pull away from Labour.
I kind of think that it doesn't matter that they haven't got a name and nobody really knows what they stand for. I think they are appealing to a particular section of the market that doesn't want any of the existing parties. And this party, because they're talking about socialism / Marxism plus Gaza, pulled all the triggers. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm sure there's going to be a section. And I quite like the fact that, and Will, you said that. I think we need to be careful of our language, isn't it? Because even when you said 10% of the population is insane, I think you get that on both ends of the spectrum. And I think I think you're right. I think they are appealing to the disaffected. And unfortunately, some of what they say is valid. Generally, there are people that generally care about that. But you've got another section who is just like, stick it to them, stick it to reform guys, stick it to them. They're not going to care about actually any policies. It's just them against us. And I think that's what needs to change. And that's why I stand in the middle politically. That really needs to change. It's them against us. We're all in this country, and we should all be looking at where we actually come together rather than where we divide.
Of course, the ticking time bomb for this party is how they are trying to bring together socially conservative, regressive Islamists with progressive identity politics warriors, and the contradiction between those two positions is going to be impossible to keep together over 3 or 4 years.
Not if the enemy that they're facing, the perceived enemy that they're facing, is bigger than them.
If they are united by a common goal to tear down Western civilization.
It's an interesting point to end on before we go to you, Trey.
Oh, that was a nice, juicy conversation. But anyway, over to me, which is a very related topic. So we've all seen the headlines. Crime is out of control. The streets are unsafe. But when we peel back the rhetoric, the reality tells a different story. In many categories, especially in violent crime, it's actually fallen and not risen. Yet for many, for political purposes, they keep pushing sensationalist stories because they know those stories are useful. Politicians know that fear actually sells. They know that pointing fingers is easier than solving problems. Yes, shoplifting is up, and of course we all know about the phone snatches, but it's not the same as violent crime. Stats from the Office of National Statistics and from the NHS, who actually treat victims of violent crime, have shown that murders, firearm offences, even knife crimes, some of them are at the lowest levels for 10 years. So is it time that we strip away dogma and stop highlighting these isolated incidents, especially on social media, and just ask, what is the trend? Are people safer? Are lives less at risk? Not about what some politician or commentator wants you to feel, but actually what is the actual evidence? Let's make our judgments based on truth and not on fear-mongering.
Well, can I jump straight in?
Yeah, go for it.
And
please do.
And I know there's people like Fraser Nelson who have been big on this on social media. I had a bit of a spat with him about this because there's a slight issue with the way that the numbers are reported, and this is where it gets down to. First of all, most crimes aren't solved anymore. Only nationally 7% of all crime is solved. People have lost complete faith in the ability to report crime to the police. People have their phones stolen. Bev Turner had, when her kids had their phones stolen in Richmond of all the places. You'd never expect that, would you? And they just didn't bother reporting because they thought, actually, my friend was like, if I get my phone out and report this, my phone's going to get stolen too. The number of sexual offences is almost at record highs. Maybe you're right across the broader picture, but you've got to take crime where they are in hotspots. And yes, maybe across the country those things are down, but when you look at London, for example, their crime is rising. You look at sexual cases in London. There's a rape every hour in London. There's a knife crime incidents are through the roof in London. So you might be right on the overall trend, but I think we have to really be looking at where the concentration of crime is now, because before, people used to be able to report these things to the police. Now they don't even get a look in. I think that's a big part of the story that's missing.
The data, you're right, we should go with evidence, but unfortunately much of the evidence that these stats rely on are produced by the people who actually don't want us to feel that crime is getting worse. But how people feel on the street is actually really important, Trey, regardless of what's actually happening, because if there wasn't crime, people wouldn't be feeling it.
Yeah. No, but this is why I think I beg to differ. I think some of the stats that we've seen it from, like people like the Centre for Migration Control, which is pretty much a one-man band which starts talking about people from East Africa 22 times more likely or blah, blah, blah. And when you actually start to dissect to look at the numbers, it's not necessarily that robust. It doesn't really stand up to scrutiny. So some of it is...
Some of it with their graphs, so you understand it, what they're doing is showing the disproportionate rate in which some ethnicities and races commit those crimes to others.
But they're still comparing demographics of young men to a general population that includes old people, lots of different people. But we know why that's done, though. A lot of it is done to produce the optics of a certain thing, lawlessness, and it being done by a certain type of people.
Well, the reason that they're looking at young men is because it's the young men that are coming from those countries. There certainly aren't women or older people or, largely productive members of society that are coming from those countries. So that's why they're looking at those people.
Yeah, but I'm talking about how the actual stats have come up. It's very misleading. At the end of the day, listen, at the end of the day, the problem are men when it comes to things like sexual assault. As men, we should be looking at why we are a danger to women, regardless of where we're from or whether our background. No, but that is true. That's wrong. The sense of the lawlessness, I think, a lot of the time it's done for political reasons, to give an image about certain groups of people are perpetrators, or there's a lot of danger, and I have the answer.
We've not got much time, but I'm going to give you one thing on that. Even if you're right and it is just men, we don't need to import another 50,000 men who might do it. We've got our own, Trey. Yeah. That's important. As a woman, that's important. But anyway, up next, we've got Kai. Kai, what have you got for us?
Yeah, you'll really love this one.
We'll judge that.
Are the boomers bankrupting Britain?
Oh.
He means you. Yeah. That's what he means.
It's very popular.
Oh, big sigh. You're with the Saturday 5. I'm sorry about Kai. Live on GB News.
Welcome back to Britain's Newsroom with Andrew and Beth.
Hello everyone, Patrick Christie is here.
I'm Michelle Duke, Britain's News Channel.
Access the stories that matter to you. Take the GB News family with you on any device. And as long as you have an internet connection. Tune in to GB News, anywhere on the planet or beyond. GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Mornings don't have to be tiresome, especially if you have the right company.
Wake up to news as it happens, opinion and debate, and of course, a little bit of entertainment too.
Because when the kettle's on, we're on.
That's Breakfast on GB News, a show worth waking up for.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We'll spread the news, you spread the word.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
So he can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk then?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I ever got up?
About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Exciting news. Every Friday, my Patrick Christie's Tonight Show is going to have a twist to it. We're welcoming some special guests. You. That's right, on Fridays I'm going to be doing my show in front of a live studio audience because this show is about you and what you have to say. It's going to be the same big debates, same big topics, same big opinions. But every Friday night at 9 p.m, you are invited to come on down to Patrick Christie's Tonight to be a part of the action. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back, everybody. You are with the Saturday 5 live on GB News.
Oh, we got Kai.
Sorry?
We've got Kai, haven't we?
Yeah, we have got Kai now. Kai, what are you going to tell us? Sorry, I almost skipped on.
That would have been so great for the
You skipped me.
I'm so sorry. That would have been
Ratings
so
opportunity
great
missed.
for the
Fast forward.
What a shame.
And cut to the break. Yeah. No, I'm going to be talking about how you boomers are bankrupting Britain. Now, yes, back in September, Richard J.S. Tice told us enough is enough. He was talking about, of course, the profligacy of the public sector's pensions. Now, Reform have control by now of £66 billion in pension pots, and 13 of these local pensions were underperforming. But Mr. Tice, are you really going to be honest and fearless with the British public? Because if you were, this is what you'd say. The reality is, instead of blaming sort of net zero investments and the public sector, what you should really be talking about is that incomes have grown far quicker for those over 65 than for those who are of working age. Public spending on welfare for over 65s has increased steeply, far more steeply than other countries. Why is that? The triple lock has left a gold-plated pension system in this country that is completely unsustainable. Children are more likely to live in poverty nowadays than their great-grandparents were. So I think it's time, Richard Tice, we fess up to the British public and have a real honest conversation about how to make sure that the next generation is better off than the last.
Yeah.
OK, I'm going to come in here because you are being disingenuous because this story that you have picked up on about the £5.6 trillion bill that we will have are for civil servant pensions.
Yes.
Nothing to do with the state pension. And I'm going to say this to you. People that live on the state pension are the poorest in Europe.
But Dr. Renee, what I'm saying is that yes, there are a few different stories that have come out in the last week on this, right? Public sector pensions based on final salaries, right? That is one issue, an issue that we simply cannot pay for. But also the fact that the triple lock means that there is absolutely no way for working age incomes to rise at the level that people who have already paid into the system are getting. No. Means that we are just creating an increasing debt burden. We talk about no, Alex, I'm talking.
Enough airtime, right? Hang on, you be quiet for a second, because let me tell you this.
Have you read the right story?
Yeah, I have. Listen, your party has bankrupted this country twice as much as the Tories have now in a year, and now you're going, well, £50 billion black hole. There's a stat for you, right?
Why is it?
Hang on, because what happens as soon as you lot have bankrupted Britain, what you go is, you lot at home need to suffer. You people who've been paying taxes, actually, you know what? You've had it too good, haven't you? So we're going to make it so much worse for you.
I've just told you.
We've bankrupted the country with all of our ridiculous 24 billion on a carbon capture plant, for example. That's what happens with the left. When you run out of everyone else's money, you keep on looking for more of it. Now you're trying down the back pockets of people's jeans and the backs of their sofas to get more of their cash.
So you
bankrupt the country.
You tax working people now who are already earning less than older people.
Trust me,
we are headed.
I could give you my economic plan all day. We don't need the British public to suffer anymore as a result of terrible.
But it's not all the British public that are suffering.
Why do the left hate the elderly so much?
No, but we are heading towards a French system. We're heading towards a system like in France right now. Pensioners are earning more than working age people. Is that really right, Bernadette?
I'm not interested in France.
But is that really right? Because that's where we're headed. That's where we're headed.
You're not asking why people are earning less today than a pensioner. Why do you think that is, Kai?
Well, because the economy is absolutely rubbish, thanks to the
the economy. But
Alex, when was Labour last in power? When was Labour last in power?
Yes, I'm not blaming the Labour government by itself. I'm blaming the Tories as well. Okay, but you don't start going after people who have worked and who deserve their pensions that they've been promised at the end of their work, because you lot are constantly screwing up the economy. You have to take a look at your own economic policies and then say, right, maybe we should scrap some of the lula stuff we're doing.
I'm going to say something uncomfortable. Kai is absolutely right in saying that the triple lock is unsustainable.
Why is it unsustainable?
The numbers don't stack
Alex,
up.
do the maths.
Why?
Yes, but why? Everyone says it's unsustainable, but no one asks why.
I agree that if we had a growing economy, we could have those sorts of things, but we don't.
I'm going to put my foot down.
Right.
And just an update before we go to the weather. The United Kingdom protest is still ongoing. Met Police says it has arrested 9 and have promised there are more to come. It seems the rally is overrun, according to the Police's Public Order Act. We will bring you more updates as we get it. And we've got loads more.
Yeah, coming on the show. We've got loads. Look, I was at that rally today. There were there's reports saying there's tens of thousands of people, 20,000. Trust me, there was well over 100,000 people there. I would say it was pushing 1 million. There were points where I couldn't get out to get back to this show, so we were quite worried. And we got some fantastic interviews with so many of you who were there that I saw today. Thank you for coming and saying hello. It was something spectacular there today with all those flags. I couldn't believe it.
An overwhelmingly decent, good, patriotic people who want to express their love for their country. This will be a real test for the Labor Party. If they do the whole far-right routine, there is going to be outrage, and it would be justified outrage, because what you saw today was not a far-right rally.
No, they're ordinary good people. Ordinary good. Look, and there's always going to be certain. And we talk about political violence, and the people that cause violence today, shame on you. You let everyone down that was there. You let everyone down, and everyone who went today who didn't want to cause violence was just there to get their voices heard, and because they wanted to do something with their day that was political. Congratulations, well done for doing that. Well done for showing up for what you believe in. But to those people who cause violence, shame on you. It's disgusting. And you learn nothing from what happened to Charlie Kirk if that's how you behave when push comes to shove. And you shouldn't be part of any movement that represents Great Britain because you're on the fringes.
The media what they want.
Of course it does. Of course it does.
We've got so many comments on this. So Sean MacArthur says, I loved watching the Tommy Robinson rally today. The question that has never ever been asked or spoken about in my lifetime. Life is meant to be enjoyed, although it's challenging. That's part of the fun. It should be the fundamental thinking behind everything we do instead of constantly trying to divide everybody. Rest in pease, Charlie.
Yeah, absolutely.
And, you know, I did it.
Well said.
People are saying, Alex, that they did see you down there. Waterloo, so JD 1955 says he saw there.
Yeah, there we go. Hello, JD. It was lovely to see you if you came up and said hello. I mean, at one point we were trying to get interviews done, but there were so many people around us going, GB News, which was so lovely to see. It was so lovely to see that so many of you watched the shows that we're on. Thank you for tuning in. And I think overall, a huge success.
Well, look, I mean, it's clear that people are really enjoying this and they've enjoyed the day, as have we. But we've got loads more to come on the show tonight, including a fresh new batch of triggered tantrums. You don't want to miss those. You know how much you love those, and we love them too. But just before we do that, we're going to go to the weather, which I know that you also love. Here it is.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hello again and welcome to your latest GB News weather forecast from the Met Office. There'll be a few showers around on Saturday night, but for most, Sunday is set to start dry with some sunshine in the east. It won't last though. Wet and windy weather is going to arrive from the west, and that's courtesy of this area of low pressure. And these weather fronts will bring some rain to many places by the end of the day. The isobars tightening to bring some stronger winds as well. Back to Saturday evening though, and the focus of the showers will be across more northern parts of England and perhaps North Wales for a time. Otherwise though, many places turning dry overnight tonight with clearing skies, and it's set to be quite chilly, so temperatures in the countryside perhaps falling down to low single figures and even cold enough for a touch of frost in some prone spots. It does mean, though, underneath those clearing skies, that Sunday is expected to dawn on a mostly sunny note. Any mist and fog patches across inland parts of Scotland quickly clearing away, and then blue skies for many, at least for a few hours. Just one or two showers around the coast, perhaps, but many places starting dry. Already turning cloudy, though, for Northern Ireland, Wales and the southwest, and there's rain not too far away from Cornwall, and this is going to be the signs of things to change. So this rain will spread its way eastwards through the course of the day on Sunday, turning wet by the end of the morning for Northern Ireland, Wales and the southwest. Some heavy bursts of rain arriving too, particularly over the higher ground, and even any early morning brightness in the east will be short-lived, with it turning cloudier here too, and some outbreaks of rain arriving by the end of the day. With the winds strengthening as well, with Irish Sea coastal gales by the afternoon, it's going to feel fairly cool and unpleasant where it's raining. The winds stay strong as we go into Monday. A yellow warning for wind is in place across many parts of England and Wales. So the showers here moving through very quickly, but still some heavy downpours with rumbles of thunder in places, and some more frequent showers across more northern parts of the UK. It stays changeable through the week ahead, a mixture of sunny spells and showers, and it will also be quite windy at times.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
It's our biggest Great British giveaway to date. You could be driving away with this brand new Benamar Primera motorhome. This 4-berth home from home comes complete with integrated kitchen and bathroom areas and has all of the tech you'd expect from the latest 2025 model. We'll also give you an incredible £30,000 in tax-free cash to make sure that any adventures you take in your new motorhome are taken in style. For a chance to win, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB16 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 31st of October. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
no,
isn't it?
No,
because the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akweer, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave. I'm so surprised. I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Mornings don't have to be tiresome, especially if you have the right company.
Wake up to news as it happens, opinion and debate, and of course, a little bit of entertainment too.
Because when the kettle's on, we're on.
That's Breakfast on GB News, a show worth waking up for.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We'll spread the news, you spread the word.
Britain was once the envy of the world. But look around. A nation that no longer knows what it is or where it's going. A country that's broken. How do we fix Britain? How do we bring it back? Friday night with Matt Goodwin at 8 p.m. only on GB News.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There, you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back. It's Saturday night and this is the Saturday 5, the UK's biggest Saturday night TV show. I'm Dr. Renee along with Will Kingston, Alex Armstrong, Trey Lowe and Kai Wilshaw. Tonight on the show...
Don't want Charlie Kirk on our campus. We don't want fascists on our campus.
More triggered tantrums coming your way.
Also...
Time to go. Trump is the Hitler of our time!
Ooh.
Alex.
Oh, honestly.
Alex will be joined. Alex was going to say, but tonight it's my turn to help. Alex will be joined by a guest at today's huge protest in London.
And in the scrap, we're going to be discussing whether Charlie Kirk's killer deserves the death penalty.
Should King Charles make up with Harry? Oh, it's such a night tonight, isn't it?
Oh, God.
Oh, goodness, it's 7 o'clock and it's the Saturday 5.
Oh, we love it. It's so much fun in the show.
Oh dear, welcome to the Mad Saturday 5, everybody. And of course, we want to know your views as well. So send your views and post your comments by visiting gbnews.com/yoursay. And the news is next. So just to bring you an update before we bring you the news, the Unite the Kingdom protest is still ongoing. Met Police says it's arrested 9 and have promised there are more to come. Police officers have been assaulted as they faced significant aggression from the protesters. This is what they say. It seems the rally is overrun according to the Police's Public Order Act. We'll bring you more updates as we get it. We'll have more on that later on in the show from a protester who was there. But first, the news with Bethany Elsie.
Good evening, I'm Bethany Elsie with your top stories from the GB newsroom. 9 people have been arrested during a rally which saw more than 100,000 people march through central London in support of free speech. The Metropolitan Police says its officers were subjected to unacceptable violence, with a number of them being assaulted. The force deployed extra officers with protective equipment and police horses to deal with the disorder. The Unite the Kingdom rally heard a series of speeches from Elon Musk, Lawrence Fox and former apprentice candidate Katie Hopkins. Thousands of people also attended a counter-protest called March Against Fascism. The first deportation flights carrying migrants from the UK to France are expected to take off as early as next week. The one-in, one-out returns deal came into force last month. The first migrants were detained last week, and GB News understands the first removal flight could be as early as Monday. The scheme allows migrants who cross the English Channel illegally to be sent back in exchange for asylum seekers who apply and are approved to come to Britain. The Prime Minister is facing growing criticism from opposition parties and Labour MPs over how he handled the appointment and then sacking of Lord Mandelson. Peter Mandelson was stripped of his position as US ambassador amid fresh scrutiny over his friendship with the convicted paedophile Jeffrey Epstein. It's understood Number 10 received details of newly seen emails between the pair on Tuesday, just a day before Sir Keir Starmer defended him in PMQs. But Starmer says he wasn't aware of the messages until Wednesday Wednesday evening. Conservative leader Kemi Badenoch is accusing the Prime Minister of lying about what he knew. The widow of Charlie Kirk says the movement he built in the United States will not die with him. The co-founder of the right-wing youth organisation Turning Point USA was shot dead in Utah on Wednesday. The activist was a bridge to young Republican voters and was credited with handling Donald Trump win re-election last year. His suspected killer, Tyler Robinson, remains in custody after surrendering to police. He's expected to be charged on Tuesday. Donald Trump says he'll impose sanctions on Russia over its war in Ukraine if NATO allies follow suit. The US president has made the claim on social media, saying he'll act if and when NATO countries agree to do the same and when they stop buying Russian oil. His comments come after Prince Harry and the Foreign Secretary Yvette Cooper visited Ukraine on Friday. Harry was visibly emotional after visiting a makeshift memorial in Kyiv dedicated to fallen soldiers. Those are the latest headlines. I'll have more for you in an hour's time.
You can now watch GB News live across the United States of America and the world on Truth Plus. Scan the QR code to find out more or visit gbnews.com/truth.
It's Saturday night and you're with the Saturday Five. I'm Dr. Renee, I think. I'm kind of losing track now.
Kai's been talking about the King's love life, so that's enough to game.
Oh, no, we don't hear
well,
about that.
I can promise you, as you can see, that you are in for another very lively hour. So let's crack on with tonight's main event. It's the one you've been voting for. What you want us to debate in the Saturday Scrap. I'm pleased to say that I'm not taking part in this today, but the results are in. 4% of you voted for should King Charles make, what was it, Kai? Oh, up with Prince Harry, not love. 13% of you voted for should we force school children to wear uniform to respect others. I quite like that one. Which means 83% of you voted for does Charlie Kirk's killer deserve the death penalty? So now it's time for the main event. And just before we get into our debate, some breaking news. The Sun this evening is reporting that Charlie Kirk's suspected killer, Tyler Robinson, lived with a transgender partner. Kai has just put his head on the desk. Sources say the partner was transitioning from male to female.
Well, what does that tell you? This is the thing, isn't it? What does that tell you?
No, this is the problem, Alex. To take one crime, as the left and the right do, and to try and extrapolate it into general trend is not how we should be taking any.
I haven't extrapolated, but I think we need to have a reality check that he was probably radicalised in trans ideology. Charlie Kirk was one of the biggest biggest commentators who was against trans ideology, given his Christian values. Yes. And therefore, is it any surprise this man was radicalised when he was living with somebody who was transitioning as trans?
This wouldn't be the first of these sorts of acts of aggression from trans advocates.
Yes, and I agree that there is some of that, but also we see it again on plenty of other sides of the political spectrum. So, I would worry about taking a very high-profile crime and then applying it to the political left in its entirety, as some people in the MAGA movement are very quick to do.
But Kai, here's the thing. Whenever it is someone on the so-called far right, they do look into the underlying motivations. They do say we need to, we need to stop this at the source. But whenever it is leftist ideology, then you do the both sidesism. Like, if you're going to basically attack the far right and all of the underlying problems there, then you've got to have a look at, say, trans ideology or far right or far left radical ideology and say, well, we've actually got to look at how we can stop that from poisoning so many people's minds.
I think I have to agree with Will. I think you've got to treat it both the same. I think if the radicalisation is happening on the left, we need to dissect and look at what's going on there. I think you're absolutely right on that.
And the other big difference, of course, is this ideology is now the dominant ideology of the education system. Yeah. And so it is actually infecting so many young people as they then go through school and university.
That is just not the case in the United States. That is just...
What is the case?
To say that transgender ideology is everywhere.
Do you know what? I
States.
wish we had more time, Kai, but that's nonsense what you've just said.
No, it's not.
Their education system has been absolutely infiltrated by this. You've got teachers going in dressed in dresses and whatever now.
But guys, we can't just assume, though, without knowing the facts.
Anyway, now, After the assassination of the US political commentator Charlie Kirk, a husband, a father of 2 young children, and a huge influence amongst Donald Trump's MAGA movement, the US president has called for suspect Tyler Robinson to face the death penalty. Utah is one of 27 states in the US that has the death penalty, and the state's governor said authorities would pursue it. So does Charlie Kirk's killer deserve the death penalty? Seconds out, guys. It's round 1.
Thank you, Renee. I will kick us off. I've got a complicated relationship with the death penalty. I have traditionally been against it. My views have evolved over time. And they haven't evolved because of the economic argument. In fact, it's actually more costly to put someone to death in the US than it is to keep them in jail for the rest of their lives. I'm not evolving in my views because of the deterrence argument. I'm not convinced that the death penalty actually acts as any more of a deterrent than life in jail. Now, my reason for supporting the death penalty in the instance of this monster, and indeed other monsters who commit heinous crimes, is very simple. They deserve it. There are some people who commit acts of such morally abhorrent barbarism that the only appropriate thing is to be put to death. Now, there are second-order arguments, of course. You can say that this sends an incredibly clear message from the state that this type of attack on freedom of speech will not be tolerated, that political violence will not be tolerated. You can say that the type of retributive justice that the death penalty offers is offers more closure to the victims of these crimes than life in jail does. But really, this is a very, very simple argument. This man is a monster. The only appropriate remedy for his suffering that he's put towards the Kirk family is to put him to death.
Now, look, I think that our character as a nation is best tested when we're challenged. And also that we prove who we are by how we treat the worst in society. And I think this is actually shown a bit by, for instance, Charlie Kirk's widow, who said that his voice will remain, that his legacy is the movement he's created and not calling to bear arms. And then also, of course, the father of the suspect, who refused a reward of $100,000. Now, these kind of virtues are missing in our society so often. And I think it would be a shame for this to now be a baying for blood that we see all too often in this social media age. Now, I do believe that people convicted of horrific crimes can and should have the chance at rehabilitation. Yeah. I genuinely believe that. I think that state-sanctioned killing puts us all at risk, and that basing this on questions of morality, of values, is dangerous, because as values and morality shift, then so does who you punish. And so I think this is a real slippery slope and is actually antithetical to what Charlie Kirk stood for.
This is the real danger of leftist ideology, in that it fundamentally misunderstands human nature. There are some people who are evil. There are some people who are beyond rehabilitation. But because the left want you to believe that we're all the same, that all cultures are equal, that sort of story plays into their narrative. This sort of monster is beyond rehabilitation. And as a result of that, it is appropriate to at the very least put him in jail for the rest of his life and let him rot, or to put him to death.
So I'm going to bring this out to the panel now, Kai, but I was always of your view on this, that actually we didn't have the right to take someone's life. And I also worried terribly about miscarriages of justice, because they do happen, we do see it. At least if you've got someone in prison with a miscarriage of justice, you can set them free. You can't if you've killed someone. So I worried about that. But what changed my mind on that was the Southport killer, because I decided that, A, there was no doubt that he did it, and B, he didn't deserve to live. And I think in certain cases, Will is absolutely right. I'm afraid people lose their right to a knitting class and an art class, and they should just leave.
But in Charlie Kirk's reading of the Bible, we're all a part of God's creation, are we not? I mean, I really don't think
choose what you want out of the Bible to make whatever point you want.
Yeah,
can I ask you, do you agree with the assisted dying bill?
Yes. Well, actually, the bill as it stands is a hodgepodge mess.
Of it?
In certain cases, yes.
Well, you said state-sanctioned death is dangerous, right? So that's the same thing, right? Assisted dying.
But I think there is, in my view, there is a difference if an individual with the proper safeguards in place is facilitated by the state to choose their own manner of dying. Those are completely different things, Alex.
They may
you
be
know
different
it.
circumstances, but they are still state-sanctioned death. Right? Hey, Theresa May said it herself in the House of Lords. This is the ability for the state to decide when you die, and that's basically what it is. The problem I've got with this, and I'm against this assisted dying bill, I might add, so I don't want to sound like too much of a hypocrite by calling you out. I just want to pose an interesting question to you. Now, I am for the death penalty in this situation, and I'm for the death penalty, and I think Renee's got it right. There are certain there's certain cases where they're so heinous that the only way to deter other people from doing it is shown as severe consequences. And life in prison in this country is not enough for someone like the Southport killer. Unfortunately, I think he's so evil he deserves to die. The same for this man. And the reason why this man deserves it is because his attack wasn't just on Charlie Kirk. No. His attack was against freedom of speech. Yeah. It was against your right to debate fairly, respectfully, intellectually, to discuss ideas. It's an act of terrorism.
It was an act of terrorism. That's exactly right.
It's an act of terrorism, and that's why he's got to be put to death.
Yeah. There's an interesting little addendum on this. I've noted that Rupert Lowe's new think tank thing, was it Restore?
Restore Britain.
Restore Britain. Yeah. This is on their policy platform. They're advocating for the reintroduction of the death penalty in the UK.
Yeah. There are some cases that are heinous that the public overwhelmingly support the death penalty in this case.
For me, it's weird, actually, when you mention the Southport killer. I can agree with that 100%. But that's because the only time I think I'd consider the death penalty is crimes against children. I think there shouldn't be a conversation if someone is found beyond any reason of doubt of doing a crime against children, then I think in this case is a bit of a hard one. I know that Utah has this statute where if it's an aggravated murder, I mean, one could argue that would be the case potentially in this case. But it's just a hard one. Do you want to keep him alive and give him a chance to rehabilitate himself and therefore cause some sort of healing? Or, like Will said, I think Will said it, send a message, because it is political violence and we don't want that to spread, and it kind of strayed into a lot of terrorism. It is a hard one.
And
True. We've got this other case as well, this Luigi Mangione case, where he's of course alleged or accused of killing a CEO of a pension fund or something along the
health
company, again for leftist values, and I think again the message clearly isn't getting through to these people who are radical leftists in most cases in this one, that there needs to be a strong deterrent. You cannot walk away with your life if you take someone else's. You take that one person's entire ability to live, you destroy their family, you destroy their children, you destroy thousands of millions of people around the world who might have loved them. And what that death has done is radicalise young kids. It has radicalised young Americans on the right. There needs to be a strong message to say, if you do this, you will not live to see your life be moved forward the same way that this person's life's been taken as well. I think in these circumstances, the crime is so heinous against so many people, we need to send a strong message that this is not acceptable.
I think I do want to throw in one thing, because I think we're sort of assuming it's based on some sort of trans ideology. We don't know that, and I don't think it's fair to demonise anyone based on that.
I do think there's insurmountable evidence to suggest he's a leftist, given the encasings on the bullets, given what his sources have told The Independent and other Wall Street Journal, that he was of leftist ideology. I do think there's enough evidence to say that.
Yep. So, interestingly, this could go on forever, but going back to Charlie, mourners are gathering at Turning Point's headquarters in Arizona to pay their respects to Charlie Kirk. You can see that here.
Yeah,
and it's been peaceful, it's been, just sad, there's been no violence, it's been a very respectful...
These vigils are taking place all over the world. We saw them from Sydney the other day, we've seen them one in London last night, so this is a global phenomenon. This is what I mean, people are so enticed by this, but they are incited by by it in many respects. And they're looking at this and going, this is someone I didn't even know.
Well, I would also add to that, though, many of our audience wouldn't have heard of Charlie Kirk.
That's true.
But he was very, very well known amongst young people. That was his enduring legacy, is the impact that he had on conservatism amongst young people. Yep. That is the story of his life.
And that probably was one of the scariest things about him, because it's been difficult to get through to the young people because, as you rightly say, and Kai denied because he really is out of touch with the education system in the US, that children around the world are being indoctrinated into these ideologies. Yep. So it's hard to break through. Yep. And Charlie Kirk was breaking through.
He made conservatism cool for young people in the US. Him and Trump were responsible for changing the lens through which young people thought about conservatism.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's really sad, but I'm really pleased to see how respectful people are being over this. But still to come tonight, guys, we'll be discussing the events of the Unite the rally that took place in central London today. Don't go anywhere, you won't want to miss this interview.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk then?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact is Trump made a good start, no.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up?
About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
It's Patrick Christie's Tonight, and here we do things differently. It's explaining the absolute madness of this, doesn't it? It's explosive. I mean, this is very good. It's lively.
850. Your government sat there short and it did nothing.
It's controversial. The Middle East has been in turmoil since before I was born. It's everything you need to kickstart your evening.
Everyone's had their Weetabix tonight. I love to see it.
That's Patrick Christie's Tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
No, because you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes and Kerr weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Mornings don't have to be tiresome, especially if you have the right company.
Wake up to news as it happens, opinion and debate, and of course, a little bit of entertainment too.
Because when the kettle's on, we're on.
That's Breakfast on GB News, a show worth waking up for.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We'll spread the news, you spread the word.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
So he can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Oh, welcome back to the Saturday Five, everybody. Just trying to keep the noise down in the studio to come back to you. There has been a huge protest in London today, and I mean huge. It was organised by Tommy Robinson. The police are saying that more than 110,000 people attended the Unite the Kingdom march, according to the reports, and the Metropolitan Police has said it arrested 9 people. I think there were many, many more people there than the police are saying, frankly, and I think you do too. A counter-protest was organised by Stand Up to Racism, which attracted 5,000 people. But to discuss this, I'm pleased to welcome a friend of mine, Alan Miller, from the Together Declaration, who was down at the protest all day today. Welcome, Alan, and what I want to hear from you, looking very patriotic there, is just tell me to start with about the day. What was it like?
Well, Renee, it's great to be here. It was a remarkable experience. It was like a festival. I'm actually here with Tracy and Deborah now. The celebrities are continuing. But you know what? It was a place full of the British public. Many people have been smeared. They've been called far right. They've been called Nazis. They've been called racist. But this was the great British public out in force. Kindly, smiling, singing music, singing songs, waving flags, and actually saying they've had enough of saying we're not allowed to have opinions, we're not allowed to have questions, whether it's about free speech, two-tier policing, two-tier weaponised judiciary, about a prime minister that says he likes the tradition of free speech, but actually is really opposed to all of that kind of stuff. And frankly, it's one of the best things I've ever been on, Renee. It was a remarkable experience and a remarkable event.
Coming from you, Alan, because I know how many protests you've been on, because I've been on many of them with you. What do you think was the driving force for everybody to turn up today? Have we lost Alan? I think we have to just while we get Alan back.
Well, he got the point out, didn't he? He got the point out that someone like of his stature. And obviously, I've met Alan as well. I know Alan, and he's, as you said, been to so many rallies, so many protests, and that's what it's all about, isn't it? When you see someone like that, it goes, I've never seen anything like it. You know, it tells you something, doesn't it?
I've got a question. Do you actually think that this rally, and indeed rallies like it, will lead to any sort of tangible policy change from this government?
No, I don't think they'll lead to policy change, but I think what it will do is it show other people out there that their voice isn't just a siloed one, it's not biased, which was what British people on the right have been told for the last 15 years, is that actually you are alone, your opinions are fringe opinions, and I think when you see, and that 110,000 figures has got to be nonsense.
I think we've got Alan back, which is great. So, Alan, are you there?
We got a little interruption. It's what happens when you go live. Listen, some people are saying it was 1.5 million people, not like the BBC say a few thousand people, but actually it was remarkable. I mean, Elon Musk came on the Zoom, but you know what was so remarkable? We're in Whitehall, and you've got a situation where a 13-year-old girl who was banned from speaking and wearing the British outfit for culture reads out a story about being British. We had Sammy Woodhouse talking about her experiences. We had Sarah White, the mother of 3, that was arrested for waving a flag. And I've never seen so many flags, not in the Jubilee, not even, I remember the 1977 Silver Jubilee, right? Not in the Olympics. I've never been on an experience like this. This was a remarkable event. And it's got to be said, lots of people have said things about Tommy Robinson, but I think he made sure that people understood this was a place to come and have your voices heard calmly and robustly and resolutely. It worked mainly very well with the police. There were 1 or 2 incidents, and it's got to be said that well done to the Met Police for not saying that it had to stop, because apparently Westminster Council tried to make that happen just 48 hours ago. There was a moment where some people got frustrated and the police said you couldn't come through. But I've got to say, if you have 1 million people on the street and there are 9 arrests, I don't know of an incident like that. You could have 9 arrests at a local bar. And I think the thing is that the British public, this is a turning point, like with Charlie Kirk, like with Graham Linehan. We're seeing people standing up and saying, we want our country back. We want to be able to talk about the things that matter to us. We want our girls to be safe. The brilliant women in pink at Epping, at the Bell Hotel and all across Britain have led the way. This couldn't have happened without them, those brave mothers and sisters. And together, we're just really proud to be able to go around, be part of it, talk to the public and say to these technocrats, listen to the public, right? We're fed up with being called names and having two-tier policing and being censored and smeared. The other people that go on those other protests, they try and destroy our statues, destroy our culture, destroy our legacy. It's unacceptable. This is a new time now, and everyone better listen. They talk about populism, but this is a massive, massive turning point. And all kudos to the organisers well done to everyone in Britain for being calm and sensible and smiling. I'm really inspired about the future now. And, you know, at the heart of all of this was free speech. The idea that, you know, from the Magna Carta to Parliament, the civil wars in Britain, the world wars, we have a duty to uphold and defend our free speech and our rights. So I'd encourage everyone to make sure you have your voices together and keep doing that, because this is a changing moment for Britain.
Alan, I echo those sentiments. And you did just say there that this is a moment where this government has to actually listen to the people. How hopeful are you that this Labor government will look at this and actually respond with tangible changes on areas like mass migration and associated policy areas?
Yeah, I mean, basically, what we've seen is a complete transformation. Listen, this morning, The Guardian came out with a newspaper front page headline saying time up for Keir. I mean, they're obviously talking about all sorts of things like the appointments, but it's time up for Keir. Two-tier Keir is being called two-tier across Britain and internationally. We have a situation where the public is not going to go along with, you know, everyone knows this. If you go on a protest about ULEZ or LTNs, they say you're far right, you're a racist. The great British public are compassionate and warm and friendly. What they don't want is lots of undocumented migrants coming to hotels. They're concerned about incidents. They want to know who's in their country, like you'd want to know who's in your home. They want to be able to talk about these things openly and calmly. We're fed up with being smeared, being censored, having the judiciary weaponised post-Southport, and having a situation where a woman who deletes a post gets longer than people who rape or attack people. It's change time for Britain now, and we should all stand together for free speech in memory of Charlie Kirk and in support of our great legacy.
Right here. I'm just curious, you know, to counter sort of the allegations of it being sort of far right and sort of ethno-nationalistic, I'm just curious as to your sort of view of the march. Did you see much diversity there, and do you think those kind of optics are important?
Yeah, look, I come from a background 30 years ago where I actually was involved in standing and actually fighting against racism when racism was a thing. What we've now got is a thing that's dominated by DEI, the idea, and you know, the racism we've really got is against white working people in Britain. That's the only group, like that young 13-year-old girl who was not allowed to wear British outfit. We've got a situation where we've got mad ideologues that are saying you can fly loads of flags that like deny sex-based rights that the Supreme Court's upheld, flags from other nations, even like terrorist flags, you can fly all them. But when you fly a St. George or a British flag, somehow you're far right or racist. I never saw any organised far right. What I saw was the great backbone of the British people, friends, neighbours, colleagues, mums, daughters, veterans, business people, hippies, you know, people that served, as I say, veterans. It was an inspiring moment. It was really remarkable. And they're not going to be able to just shut this down. Something's changed in Britain now.
Definitely. Absolutely amazing, Alan. You look like you're having a fabulous time. I'm kind of jealous that I'm not there with you, but I'm sure there'll be more opportunities in the future. And we can continue this fight for freedom that you've been battling so hard.
Thank you, guys. We'll fly the flag for freedom together. We all stand together.
Good on you, mate.
Thank you. So up next, guys, it was brilliant, wasn't it? Up next is Bunch of Five, and Sadiq Khan seems more determined than ever at destroying our capital. You're with the Saturday 5 live on GB News.
Can't wait to get in that sea.
Lovely and warm.
Just like the feeling of having great travel insurance.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News travel destinations forecast.
Whilst the weather across the UK is going to be very unsettled tomorrow, it's a different story across many southern parts of Europe. Lots of fine and at times sunny weather around, a few showery bursts fringing into both the northwest of Spain and also some far eastern parts, a few showery outbreaks for Italy and some heavy showery rain towards parts of Greece and into Croatia. But otherwise it is generally going to be dry for most, and with some decent sunshine, feeling very warm indeed. Bye-bye.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News travel destinations forecast.
Hello again and welcome to your latest GB News weather forecast from the Met Office. There'll be a few showers around on Saturday night, but for most, Sunday is set to start dry with some sunshine in the east. It won't last though. Wet and windy weather is going to arrive from the west, and that's courtesy of this area of low pressure. And these weather fronts will bring some rain to many places by the end of the day. The isobars tightening to bring some stronger winds as well. Back to Saturday evening though, and the focus of the showers will be across more northern parts of England and perhaps North Wales for a time. Otherwise though, many places turning dry overnight tonight with clearing skies, and it's set to be quite chilly, so temperatures in the countryside perhaps falling down to low single figures and even cold enough for a touch of frost in some prone spots. It does mean, though, underneath those clearing skies, that Sunday is expected to dawn on a mostly sunny note. Any mist and fog patches across inland parts of Scotland quickly clearing away, and then blue skies for many, at least for a few hours. Just one or two showers around the coast, perhaps, but many places starting dry. Already turning cloudy though for Northern Ireland, Wales and the southwest, and there's rain not too far away from Cornwall, and this is going to be the signs of things to change. So this rain will spread its way eastwards through the course of the day on Sunday, turning wet by the end of the morning for Northern Ireland, Wales and the southwest. Some heavy bursts of rain arriving too, particularly over the higher ground, and even any early morning brightness in the east will be short-lived, with it turning cloudier here too, and some outbreaks of rain arriving by the end of the day. With the winds strengthening as well, with Irish Sea coastal gales by the afternoon, it's going to feel fairly cool and unpleasant where it's raining. The winds stay strong as we go into Monday. A yellow warning for wind is in place across many parts of England and Wales. So the showers here moving through very quickly, but still some heavy downpours with rumbles of thunder in places, and some more frequent showers across more northern parts of the UK. It stays changeable through the week ahead, a mixture of sunny spells and showers, and it will also be quite windy at times.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up?
About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's political podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's political podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Welcome back to the Saturday 5, everybody. Please do get in contact with us at gbnews.com/yoursay. Get your questions in for Ask the 5. We're still going to ask those later. Preface them with Ask the 5 if you really want me to be able to see them quickly. But thank you for your messages so far. I mean, we have so many. We've got lots of complaints on here about the other news channels only saying that there was 50,000 or less at the march today.
Yeah. Well, that's why they are no longer at the top of the pile in news in the United Kingdom. Simple as that.
And look, listen, the police have also put out numbers as well. Having been there, there was no way it was less than hundreds of. I'm not just talking about 100,000. It was hundreds of thousands of people, and I've never seen anything like it in central London. I really haven't.
Gina says the same as you. She said, I was there. I just got home. Believe me, there were way more than 110,000.
Yeah.
Everyone was peaceful. Lots of parents with children. It was a fantastic atmosphere, which is lovely, isn't it?
Yeah, totally. The vast majority of people, they're completely. There's always going to be some people that ruin these things, and when you get what I think is over 1 million people there probably, and when you get that, you're going to get
so many.
Yeah, but you're going to get the odd unfortunate event happen. That's similar. We were talking about this about Carnival last time, but let's talk about more later.
But now, guys, calm down. It's time for this. So, Will, what have you got for us?
I think I've got a very good story.
We'll be the judge of that.
Renee, yeah, I bet. And that is that climate scepticism is on the rise. In fact, in the last 4 years, the amount of people who are sceptical of climate change in the United Kingdom has risen by 50%. And you know what? This has entirely been brought on by the climate cultists. When you continuously say the world's going to end, when you overblow the problem, people will start to have that sort of scepticism. And they have treated it like a religious endeavour. If they were to say, you know what, net zero in and of itself is not necessarily a bad thing, we shouldn't rush it, we shouldn't do it at the expense of British jobs or the economy, but, you know, as a long-term ambition, sure. But they haven't done that. They have absolutely crueled the economy. They've raised energy prices. They've done everything to lower the quality of life in this country, all for what is a quasi-religious ideology. And the people, obviously, are now smelling a rat.
Yeah, don't blame them. I mean, we've all known this for a super long time, haven't we? That's the thing. We've all known that there's a lot. Like, I was speaking to my grandfather about this, and he said, "Well, when back in my day, we were told there'll be acid rain over Britain." That was what he remembered, and that never happened, did it? That didn't happen. I was told when I was at high school. I remember there was a play. Hang on, you shut it. You can have your say. There was a play.
You're not presenting.
There was a play. You're going to try again, honestly.
Oh yeah.
There was a play put on at my school, and what these people came into was a climate play, and they said the whole of London will be underwater, they'll be living on rooftops, and the sky will be red. That's what we were told. That's what we were told. That is indoctrination.
Well, this was from the melting ice caps, wasn't it?
Yes.
That do not appear to be melting.
They're recovering more ice than ever before.
I dare say that's what they're still being told in schools across this country, or at least words to that effect.
You're right. Bonkers stuff.
It is. So I'm going to go with my bit now. So this week, London was absolutely gridlocked. I cannot tell you, I know for people outside of London you think this is a London problem, but it isn't. It's a union and it's a Labour problem because they've taken the choice to allow the unions to start running the show again. So we've had 5 days of no tubes at all, roads gridlocked. People were fighting over line bikes in London. I kid you not. And today they've announced that Sadiq Khan has agreed to a no conditions 3.4 pay rise. So they can have their pay rise, but no conditions. They were trying to reform them. Now, bear in mind that they get £70,000 a year is about the average for these tube drivers. And interestingly, back to Kai's point, when they retire, they will live the rest of their lives on a 2/3 salary.
You're joking.
No, I'm not joking.
I didn't know that. That's unbelievable.
And we are not allowed to reform it. You know what I think we should do? We should be bold enough to say you're all fired. We should bring in automation. It works in other cities around the world. Or we'll give jobs to people who want to earn 70,000 quid a year and work 5 days a week.
And this is going to get so much worse when the so-called workers' rights bill, which is unions' rights bill, passes into actual law, which it is about to, because unions will have the right to strike far more often and they'll infiltrate every single company. Can I just say, I'm a born and bred Londoner. These tube drivers are exceptionally greedy and selfish. They have cost real poor people in London hundreds of pounds, thousands in some cases, where people can't get to their jobs, and of course people of course who have to pay cabs to get to work. How selfish are you?
Very. What have you got for us?
Well, Andy Burnham. Andy Burnham's making a play. He wants to kick. It wasn't bad, was it? Actually, that's my next impression when he becomes Prime Minister, because that's what he wants to do. He's had enough of Keir Starmer, like the rest of us have, and he wants to boot Starmer out of office, doesn't he? So he's got this little group he's put together, supposedly, a little campaign group, getting him ready to find a seat because he smells blood in the water of Sir Keir Starmer. What do you make of that, Kai?
Yeah, I mean, Labour MPs are in open revolt. It's incredible. After 1 year and after the phase 2 reset, it's all come to nothing within a week. I don't know that Andy Burnham necessarily is the right person, but who is? I mean, he's not got a great record on grooming gangs, for instance. That'll give reform an in. And then, of course, he was an arch Blairite back in the day.
Yeah. This is more of the same, isn't it? I don't think any of this will make a difference. Yeah, it's more of the same. I think most people are just so fatigued by it. And really, it was Starmer's ball to fumble, and he's fumbled it, really, hasn't he? You know?
Bring Angela Rayner back. Red and remain.
I don't know about that one.
Chappelle's a little bit harder.
Trey, what have you got for us?
So, my bunch of 5 is a complete different subject, but it's kind of related, because it's the opposite of the boomer story here. So, it's about the young Gen Z shunning booze and basically looking at the future future of alcohol and alcohol sales. So for so many reasons, young people are turning their backs on getting absolutely hammered, and it's affecting so many different sectors, the drink sector, the nightlife sector as well. They're actually...
babies sector.
Well, yeah, making babies, I'm sure that's a bigger one. Kyle, tell us more about that. But it's just upending so many different industries. And I must admit, right, because it was not an carnival, and traditionally what we do with my family is we sell a bit of booze and stuff like that. My God, do they not drink beer anymore? So Red Stripe, for anyone that doesn't know, is like the carnival drink that everyone drinks, and it was down by about 50%.
Yeah. Wow. You know,
50%?
I mean, that is massive. They're all doing things like punches, which we were doing, instead of doing traditional booze. It's a complete
as I said
change.
a few weeks ago, they're the most miserable generation ever, and they need more sex, drugs and rock and roll. Kai, follow that.
With more sex, drugs and rock and roll, no. We've got a video here of Tom Tugendhat speaking in the House of Commons recently on a growing trend that we've seen parliamentarians using AI to write their speeches. Let's take a look.
I rise to speak, I rise to speak, I rise to speak. ChatGPT knows you're there, but that is an Americanism that we don't use. But still, keep using it, because it makes it clear that this place has become absurd.
And isn't he completely right? I mean, I've had so many conversations recently with people outsourcing what makes them human, their reasoning, their ability to create arguments, their ability to write strong and powerful debates, and they're outsourcing this to ChatGPT, which is no doubt useful for some things. But when you see parliamentarians using the same words, underscores, streamlines, navigating, all these words that just flatten the English language and do a disservice to who put them in there in the first place.
Look, we've lost so much in the House, haven't we? Because it used to be that they couldn't have notes when they stood up to speak. They used to have to stand up to speak, and if they had notes, the other parliamentarians would shout at them.
Well, but look, I mean, I have these notes. I mean, they don't always work, and I don't always think that I make my point as well as I could or as succinctly as I could, but at least I write my arguments and think about them myself.
You can't, I'm afraid.
That's a good one.
But still to come tonight.
Time to go, time to go, time to go, time to go, time to go. Trump is the Hitler of our time!
What is going on there, guys?
We know what's going on there, man. Let's find out, shall we?
Mental breakdown.
We will reveal all in Trigger Tantrums next. You're with the Saturday 5 Live on GB News.
Britain was once the envy of the world. But look around. A nation that no longer knows what it is or where it's going. A country that's broken. How do we fix Britain? How do we bring it back? Friday night with Matt Goodwin at 8 p.m. only on GB News.
Patrick Christie's Tonight. Weekdays from 9 p.m.
What on earth is going on at our university? So Professor Stephen Greer had worked for the University of Bristol for 36 years when his career was halted after a false accusation of Islamophobia. The issue arose when Greer taught about the Charlie Hebdo attacks during a human rights module, and a student who didn't actually attend the course complained. Well, I'm delighted now to be joined by Stephen Greer himself to explain what happened. Stephen, thank you very much. Tremendous to have you on the show. Can you just explain the circumstances that led up to you being accused of Islamophobia, please?
Well, out of the blue, or almost out of the blue, I received a complaint about a module I'd been teaching on a unit, a human rights unit, entitled Islam, China and the Far East, for nearly 15 years without incident. Which included the increasing critical literature about human rights issues in Islam, China, and the Far East. And my principally, as I said, the principal complaint, it did include a complaint about Charlie Hebdo, but the principal complaint was about the fact that I had referred students to the authoritative academic literature. And the student who complained was the president of BRISOC, the University of Bristol Islamic Society, who was a medical student who'd not attended any of the course himself, and he claimed to be acting on behalf of anonymous students. And there were all kinds of other procedural irregularities in the complaint, but the university decided to entertain it anyway. Okay. And I was exonerated after a 5-month inquiry. Then the university said, well, they were publicly announced. They took the module off the syllabus.
GB News, the People's Channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akweer, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back, everybody. I can't tell you what's been going on in the break. This lot are arguing and I'm trying to hear people talk. It's impossible. But anyway, some breaking news from the Unite the Kingdom protests. The Home Secretary has condemned protesters who have attacked and injured police officers at a freedom of speech festival led by far-right activist Tommy Robinson. Shabama Mahmood posted on X, "The right to peaceful protest is fundamental to this nation. I thank the police who worked hard to ensure much of today's protest was peaceful. But I condemn those who have attacked and injured police officers. Anyone taking part in criminal activity will face the full force of the law."
Can I just say something?
Please
That
do.
is absolutely outrageous. When the Palestine Action Lot were violent with police officers the other week, there was not a single member of the cabinet that stood up, let alone the Home Secretary, who was, of course, Yvette Cooper back then. Not a single one of them came out and said that the violence was disgusting. As far as I'm aware, someone hopefully will prove me wrong on that.
I think this is inevitable. I think this was going to be inevitable. I think they were going to smear it as far right and they were going to find the badness
Absolutely
if they could, not the goodness. And we've seen from everything today that not only was it massive, but it was calm, it was peaceful, it was beautiful.
Yeah, I echo that sentiment entirely. I don't have much more to add to that.
I want to add something to it, though, which is a bit of an irony. You may not like what I'm going to say. I hear echoes of how Notting Hill Carnival is treated, especially by those on the right. It's the same sort of thing. Oh, they've got this carnival, there's going to be violence, blah, 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 and they paint it
No
exactly...
one was stabbed to death today.
Yeah, but mostly in Carnival, nobody gets stabbed to death. But I think it's the same thing. But I'm actually saying that it's unfair for those people who did turn out for what was generally a peaceful thing. It's unfair, and I think it's the same for most people who go Carnival. It's the minority that makes it bad.
Anyway, sad to read, but now it's time for Triggered Tantrums, Guy. You've got a free ticket to this week's Ringmasters of Rage, Clowns of Collapse and Acrobats of Absurdity. I'm sure they put that in just to see if I can actually say it. And Tumbling Over Zilch, but just wait until you see this lot. They're really good, even if I do say so myself. So, Will, take us away.
Yeah, well, look, you'd think when the left throw around the fascist label so often they would understand what they're talking about. I'm not expecting a detailed philosophical explanation of the history of fascism, but perhaps, you know, at least a baseline understanding. Let's see if they do have that.
Don't want Charlie Kirk on our campus. We don't want fascists on our campus. We don't want to support that here.
What is fascism?
Immigration. I don't know. I'm not like a political scientist. I'm not good at interviews. You should ask someone else.
It is always the hair.
Yeah, look, she was straight out of Central Casting, in fairness, but I think if you ask that question to many of those types of people, they would not be able to give you a coherent answer.
Yeah, well, then don't go and put yourself up for a debate then. As simple as that, right? I mean, that's the problem, is these people are so convicted with things that they don't even understand themselves, that when push comes to shove and they're challenged on it, that's when, fortunately, some of them get violent.
But why do they always have red or blue or purple hair? That you can always pick them out. I know by their hair what their views are going to be.
And they're almost inevitably ugly. It is a fact that right-wing people on average...
I will try not to take that to heart, Will. Look, as I told you guys in the break, when I first came across Charlie Kirk, I thought... I don't know that I could debate that man. It is clearly, you know, it's good to interrogate people's views, and I sort of question my own sort of ability to debate across everything that I believe in. I don't think I think it asks a lot of people to be plugged into every single debate that's going on in this country. But yeah, don't make big statements till you can back them up.
Yeah, yeah.
But on a not unrelated triggered tantrum, mine now, Donald Trump took his top team out for a meal at a local restaurant this week, and he was happily greeting people, and then this happened.
Trump is the Hitler of our time! Free DC! Free Palestine! Trump is the Hitler of our time! Free DC! Free Trump is the Hitler of our time!
I've got to cut to Alex. What do you make of that?
Get them out of here. Just get them out. Get them out.
I mean, they're so intolerable, these people. Just I mean, just, oh, please, shut. I think this is the problem, right? They are so intolerable that they have turned so many more people against their cause.
Yeah.
It's like that Nadia Hussein who was, after the back of Charlie Kirk's death, was complaining about Gaza. Oh, when children die, no one says anything. It's like, have you been looking at the news, Nadia? Did you work for the BBC? Have you not seen the protests happening up and down the streets? Have you not seen the news dedicated to it? They've just complete blinkered people. They're so boring.
What I also find interesting is how do they find themselves in a restaurant that Trump happens to turn up of, and they've got their scarves, they've got their banners, they've got their songs ready, and they've got their blue hair ready. I mean,
not as disorganised as you'd like to think, Renee.
No, clearly not. But anyway, look. Don't go anywhere. Coming up, it is the Saturday 5 Extra. This is where we lose Alex, I'm afraid, but we've got a nice surprise for you again. We're going to let our hair down. Anything can happen. What could possibly go wrong that hasn't gone wrong already? So get ready, everybody. We're going to be back very soon, and I'm going to read all of your says and everything else that you send in.
Can I just say, coming up at 9 o'clock, so stay tuned through the Extra, because at the 9 o'clock I have got footage of the entire protest today, some fantastic interviews, and at 10 o'clock I have some of the best guests coming in, some top tier guests. So I want everyone to stay and watch the next few hours. I promise you there's nothing better on telly.
But now you're going to see the weather, guys, so off we go.
Today, clouds overhead, total zen within. Box Solar sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hello again and welcome to your latest GB News weather forecast from the Met Office. There'll be a few showers around on Saturday night, but for most, Sunday is set to start dry with some sunshine in the east. It won't last though. Wet and windy weather is going to arrive from the west, and that's courtesy of this area of low pressure. And these weather fronts will bring some rain to many places by the end of the day. The isobars tightening to bring some stronger winds as well. Back to Saturday evening though, and the focus of the showers will be across more northern parts of England and perhaps North Wales for a time. Otherwise though, many places turning dry overnight tonight with clearing skies, and it's set to be quite chilly, so temperatures in the countryside perhaps falling down to low single figures and even cold enough for a touch of frost in some prone spots. It does mean, though, underneath those clearing skies, that Sunday is expected to dawn on a mostly sunny note. Any mist and fog patches across inland parts of Scotland quickly clearing away, and then blue skies for many, at least for a few hours. Just 1 or 2 showers around the coast, perhaps, but many places starting dry. Already turning cloudy, though, for Northern Ireland, Wales and the southwest, and there's rain not too far away from Cornwall, and this is going to be the signs of things to change. So this rain will spread its way eastwards through the course of the day on Sunday, turning wet by the end of the morning for Northern Ireland, Wales and the southwest. Some heavy bursts of rain arriving too, particularly over the higher ground, and even any early morning brightness in the east will be short-lived, with it turning cloudier here too, and some outbreaks of rain arriving by the end of the day. With the winds strengthening as well, with Irish Sea coastal gales by the afternoon, it's going to feel fairly cool and unpleasant where it's raining. The winds stay strong as we go into Monday. A yellow warning for wind is in place across many parts of England and Wales. So the showers here moving through very quickly, but still some heavy downpours with rumbles of thunder in places, and some more frequent showers across more northern parts of the UK. It stays changeable through the week ahead, a mixture of sunny spells and showers, and it will also be quite windy at times.
Today, clouds overhead, total zen within. Box Solar sponsors the weather on GB News.
It's our biggest Great British giveaway to date. You could be driving away with this brand new Benamar Primera motorhome. This 4-berth home from home comes complete with integrated kitchen and bathroom areas and has all of the tech you'd expect from the latest 2025 model. We'll also give you an incredible £30,000 in tax-free cash to make sure that any adventures you take in your new motorhome are taken in style. For a chance to win, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB16 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 31st of October. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand.
Mornings don't have to be tiresome, especially if you have the right company.
Wake up to news as it happens, opinion and debate, and of course, a little bit of entertainment too.
Because when the kettle's on, we're on.
That's Breakfast on GB News, a show worth waking up for.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We'll spread the news, you spread the word.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
Because
the failure is...
You're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
In the GB newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
Britain was once the envy of the world. But look around. A nation that no longer knows what it is or where it's going. A country that's broken. How do we fix Britain? How do we bring it back? Friday night with Matt Goodwin at 8 p.m.
Only on GB News.